Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about Survivor 50, Episode 3, titled, Did You Vote for a Swap? Although I do think this title should have been, Honesty Can Be a Killer, because man, today it showed. If you are new to this and you like what I'm doing with anything Survivor, hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, helps me out quite a bit. But when this episode picks up, it's the next day and the tribe is all kind of hanging out back at, and Christian and Devin are talking about how well that fake immunity idol was planted there at tribal. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And they find out that they're going to go meet Jeff, and they can all assume that it's probably for a tribe swap. The little note that they got talked about, what's their value, what's their worth within their tribe. One of the neat things about what the Devons and Christian decide to do is that they're going to let Suri and Emily know that they gave Aubrey the hidden immunity idol so they can keep their tribe strong as when they start to split up. But they decide to flip it, and Christian decides, hey, since you're the idol guy, then you just spring it on all of us, and I'll act surprised, so that way nobody knows it's about us two. Which again, those two are playing on a completely other level with Emily, but we're gonna get to Emily in just a second. So they're able to only get Suri alone, and she's on board 1,000%, as she said, but they're unable to get Emily alone before they have to go meet Jeff. So, which kind of starts to make everything fall apart for Emily, so to speak. Right before the tribe swap happens, Christian is standing right next to Emily. He decides to whisper in her ear and tell her, hey, there's an idol. We gave it to Aubrey, and we didn't get to tell you. But there it is. Keep it to yourself. And of course, Emily starts to flip out in her head. Why am I only being told about this now? What's going on? And so she has this info right at the tribe swap. So the new Sela tribe is made up of Suri, Devins, Dee, Camilla, Rizzo, Charlie, and Jonathan. The Vatu tribe is made up of Steph, Ozzy, Emily, Christian, Mike White, Q, and Angelina. And over on Kalo, it's Aubrey, Colby, Tiffany, Coach, Chrissy, Joe, and Genevieve. One of the crazy parts about that particular scene was when Aubrey and Genevieve were standing right next to each other. And honestly, I would love to see some of the edits to these two not liking each other, because I just have a feeling there's more to these two than they're letting us know about. Because I don't know if any of you saw it, but they were standing next to each other. They couldn't even look at each other. They were both looking away from each other, which is just, just put the gloves on, man. Let's just go at it. Just get it out in the open. Now we make our way over to the Kalo tribe, and mind me, because I am looking at my notes here. There's a lot going on. Over on the Kalo tribe, Joe is happy to be on a tribe with both Colby and Coach, which again I called in my prediction for this particular episode, because he's looking to play with people who have the same values as him. And what better two of those of everyone on here is, of course, Colby and Coach, who are from the old school, honor, integrity, a true real game, as what Joe likes to put it. Although in Survivor, everyone knows it's really hard to do. But, the Coach and Colby, they're all on board with Joe. They like the way Joe is playing. They're big fans of him. And Coach says, hey, we got Chrissy too, so we're 4 strong right here. So, man, with Joe joining them, that's going to be a nice solid crew right there. But there is an interesting moment when Coach is walking. I don't know where he's walking with Chrissy. I don't know if they're getting water or whatever. But it was cool because Coach tells Chrissy, hey, you're being overbearing. You're being annoying. You're talking too much. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we had gone to tribal, you were the vote that everyone was going to vote out, because the majority of the people over there, they're tired of you, which shook her up because she was upset. And then, of course, we find out, she was she's a cancer survivor. And so this kind of hits a little bit harder for her because, hey, second chance at life and all that good stuff. So, but, she comes out at the end saying, ironically, she's talking to both Genevieve and Aubrey. And for a second, I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to pull those two together. But, we know that's not going to happen. But she's like, I'm glad that they told me so I can change my game because I'm still in this thing. So it was kind of good for coach to say, hey, chill out just a little bit. Over on the Sela tribe, the only thing of any importance was Dee and Jonathan are talking, and they've got Suri on their team. And in my prediction, I predicted that Dee and Camilla would try to pull in Suri to stay three women strong. But Dee lets Jonathan know, is like, hey, before I came on the season, my friend told me if you end up with Suri, you need to get rid of her because you're not going to be able to get rid of her. And Jonathan tends to agree. So, man, on that Kalu tribe, no, I'm sorry, on the Sela tribe, Suri's gonna have to look out. But what they don't know is she's got that extra vote, and Suri is very savvy. Now, let's just get over the Vatu tribe. Again, it must be the name for that, but that's just pure chaos. So, immediately Q's got to get to work because he has no vote. So he tells Ozzy about how Genevieve found that idol, and so they know about the idol. So Ozzy's like, oh, okay, cool, because he's got to work together. He's got to make friends so that way he can be saved. And then there's a moment where, Ozzy, Emily, and Q are talking. But again, Emily is she's riding the fence a little bit because she's still all kind of twisted up because of what Christian told her right before they went to tribe swap, that about the idol that Devins had found and gave to Aubrey. So she's unsure of Christian. So she decides to tell people that she doesn't trust Christian because and she proceeds to tell Q about the idol. In Emily's mind, she's trying to get some trust from these other players with Q and Steph. And so it's like, hey, I'm going to just tell you guys, hopefully you'll accept me into this and to gain some trust. So, so the little proposed alliance for that particular tribe in the moment would be Q, Steph, Ozzy, and Emily. Although, once again, Q doesn't have a vote. And then we have this insanity where Emily, who's already freaking out about everything, she decides that she goes over to Angelina and tells her that, hey, if these guys had gone to tribal, you were the target. They were going to get rid of you, which shocks Angelina. And so Angelina's like, oh my gosh, I can't trust anyone. I can actually trust you. Because from what we're gathering is Emily wants to drive. She doesn't want to be a passenger. She wants to control everything. But oh my gosh, is she playing like really, really sloppy, just a messy game, just blurting out everything, which it's not going to serve her good long term because everyone's going to start comparing notes. It doesn't take long. And then a few moments later, you see Emily go right back to Christian and said, "Oh my God, I might have messed up. I got so paranoid by you telling me about this idol that I told everybody about the idol that Aubrey has now," which Christian is trying to keep it together, and he's like, "Okay, I'll fix it." But in his head, he's just like, "What are you doing?" And and this is the one time where I can say the old school players, the 40 and older seasons, they're trying to play this game the new era speed because obviously it's a lot faster pace, and you saw it with Jenna getting voted out first, and she was just trying to play really, really fast, very aggressive, and it just didn't work for anybody. And of course, with Savannah getting voted out, that was going to happen. Everyone knew that was going to happen. But you're kind of seeing this mentality of these players thinking they need to play so fast and just blurt out everything that, now I'm going to be honest, which is why the title of this episode should have been "Honesty's a Killer," because I honestly feel that this is going to come back and get Emily in the long run. Then you see Genevieve over on the Kahlo tribe trying to put the olive branch out, trying to form relationships with everyone because she doesn't have anybody that she can get behind. So she talks to Joe, she talks to Chrissy, she talks to Coach about, hey, I'm gonna work with you. I won't put your name down or whatever. Just trying to establish something. But again, she's telling everyone, just be wary of Aubrey, very, very wary of Aubrey because of how she is. And of course, it gets back to Aubrey by the way of Tiffany, because Tiffany, I guess, just doesn't like Genevieve, but she does say she does like Aubrey. And so, of course, Aubrey is doesn't like Genevieve. We all know this. So I'm really, again, I go back to these two just need to put some gloves on and just go at it, because I would love to see the behind the scenes of these two interacting, because there had to have been something said that just set these two off more than the way they act towards each other. I honestly can say, now someone please correct me in the comments, how many times have we seen this where there's these two players, they just flat out don't like each other? Because I'm really having a hard time figuring out. I mean, I have to go way back to think of a couple players like Sugar and that one older dude. I can't remember. He was a wedding photographer. They couldn't stand each other. But I'm sure there was other players in between. Fill me in. Then back on the Sela tribe, there's another interesting moment where Rizzo, he's the odd man out. He's the one that nobody knows about. And so while he's sitting there, he tries to test the waters a little bit with Charlie and asks Charlie, about, hey, have you talked to Maria after I think he was on 47, maybe 46. I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where Maria was your number one and she voted elsewhere and you ended up losing because of her. And it ironically, which is crazy, is Charlie, I guess, even to this day, still hasn't talked to her, which I'm kind of shocked, but not really, because up to this point, you would think that all these Survivor players, when the game is over, they're all friends and whatever. But I guess that one really just put Charlie can't get that knife out of his back yet. So Rizzo's like, I'm going to use the opportunity to try to get in with Charlie because I'd like to work with someone like that. So he tells Charlie about Genevieve giving Ozzy the idol, which is of course news to Charlie. He learns everything about it. So Charlie's all, wow, but can I trust him? And then they flip to the night before where they're talking about to Rizzo about Savannah being eliminated. And he says, yeah, I went to, Soph was my number one and she got to the final and they asked, well, who'd you vote for? He goes, well, I didn't vote for her. I voted for Savannah overall. And he tried to justify it some way or another. And Charlie's right there saying, wow, I mean, you went with your number one. He's thinking of Maria. He's got baggage. And so he is saying, this guy cannot get on jury because I'm not going to be able to trust him. He's flat out did not give the vote to Sophie, even if it didn't really matter. But it's the principle of thing. And again, honesty is a killer in this particular episode, man. Then you get to the immunity challenge, and it was cool because this was one of those immunity challenges we haven't seen in a while. The blindfold, where everyone's blindfolded except the barker that's sat on top of a platform that's got to bark down, go left, go right, duck, and all that stuff. Which it's cool. If I ever get on this show, I would want to be the barker. I do not want to trust someone telling me where to go, and I'm just racking myself, knocking myself upside the head, and looking like a fool on TV. But in the end, it was nothing stood out really, other than Christian really struggled with giving the commands on where to go and whatever. You saw it because in the end, Sela and Kahlo both won, sending Vatu once again back to tribal. Then back on the Vatu tribe, this is where we really start to see the scrambling, because ultimately the vote is going to come down. According to everybody, it's going to be either Angelina or Stephanie. And Mike White is right there telling Stephanie, well, I'm probably going to vote for you, which of course is freaking out Steph, because what everyone doesn't know is that Q doesn't have a vote. So this thing's going to go to a tie, and it's going to be insane. So I'm going to just read my notes because this is kind of like the way I wrote them. So just bear with me, because this is kind of how it just kept bouncing back and forth. It kind of gives you an idea of what it probably is like right before tribal. But you've got Mike telling Angelina they need to vote for Q, and Ozzy and Emily are talking, and Ozzy wants to take out Angelina. Emily is torn about who she wants to go after. Q tells Mike to vote for him because he doesn't want Steph to get voted for. He's trying to play a noble player, but he also tries to tell Mike that I've got a extra vote, which of course he doesn't. And Mike says, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll gladly vote for you," even though he's already said I'm gonna vote for Q. So he's technically not lying. So Mike tells Emily this, and then so they gotta go to tribal with all this info. But in the end, just like I said was going to happen, so I'm 2 for 2. Q got voted out, and the votes went pretty much. Stephanie was the only one that was left in the dark as she voted for Angelina. Of course, Q had no vote. Mike, Angelina, Ozzy, and Christian and Emily all voted for Q. But overall, this was a really fun episode. Again, I think the biggest takeaway from this is the old school mentality versus the new school mentality of playing this game at such a fast pace. You play at such a fast pace, but you don't show all your cards that fast. And like I said, we saw with Emily was the biggest, messiest player on this one, to where she was going everywhere trying to establish alliances, and because she didn't know who to trust, because she legit panicked. So it's interesting to see how this plays out, and who from the old school is going to be able to keep going, because this is where that new school mentality just kind of takes over a little bit, and this is the first time you actually see it. But like I said, this was a very fun episode. I'm looking to next episode next week. If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. Again, it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out quite a bit, because I'm covering not only horror movies and obstacle course races, but Survivor as well. So you don't miss anything Survivor related, especially when I drop my quick short of my prediction for the week. You don't want to miss that, because like I said, I'm 2 for 2. So until next time, check out my other videos. But more importantly, take care, guys.